Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles. Welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. So today we got a pretty interesting show. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, some people may be saying, why are you sitting up here talking about Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls? I hate him. Why do so many people think he's the best? I can't stand this guy. You make Jordan videos every week. I hate you. This is why we make Michael Jordan videos. It's a very, very simple thing. Apart from the fact that I like MJ, Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls, that era of basketball, that time in the world, these guys have a lot of fans. Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls have a massive following globally. So there are a lot of people, whether you believe it or not, that are interested in hearing about MJ and some of these old stories. Maybe you may not be interested in it, but a lot of people are. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people. There's nobody that I have seen covering the NBA that brings this level of attention in an organic way, the way Michael Jordan does to the table. I mean, whenever you start talking about MJ, right, it just brings in so many eyeballs. It's just the fact of the matter. So some people that keep asking me this is very obvious. It's very simple. Because a lot of people want to hear about MJ. He has a lot of fans, whether you believe it or not. So that's the first one. But anyway, as y'all know, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan have a love-hate relationship, right? On one hand, Scottie will say positive things about him. And on another hand, he'll be hating on MJ for whatever reason. For whatever reason, it's like Scottie Pippen wakes up on one side of the bed one day, he's like, MJ to GOAT. The next moment, he's like, I can't stand this guy as a selfish player. And this morning while doing research, and actually an old article popped up, that has some quotes that Scottie Pippen made about Michael Jordan that weren't very positive that we want to get into here. And we're getting this from sportsrush.com. So let me just get into the article here. It says, Michael Jordan needed everything done for him. Scottie Pippen once explained why LeBron is arguably the GOAT. Scottie Pippen doesn't nearly get enough credit for his time with the Bulls. At the end of the day, while Michael Jordan may be the best player on that team, the often forgotten legend wasn't far behind at all. And yet, because of Michael Jordan's flashy ability to score the ball, many now believe there was a cosmic difference between the two. And it's something Pippen bore for a long time. But back in 2020, he decided he had had enough, igniting a beef between MJ and himself. And we're here to bring to you a rather interesting installment of it back in 2021. Scottie Pippen released his memoir with a rather juicy quote involving LeBron James and Michael Jordan in 2021. In 2021, Scottie Pippen released his memoir Unguarded, which contained countless stories that the NBA community at large knew nothing about. There were countless golden quotes and thoughts of a man in the book. But while we could have chosen one of those, why take gold when you can take a piece of platinum instead? Here were his published thoughts on why he believes LeBron James is the true GOAT, not Michael Jordan, as per Hyperbeast. I may go as far to say Mike ruined basketball. In the 80s, on the playground, you have everyone moving the ball around, passing to help the team. That stopped in the 1990s. Kids wanted to be like Mike. Well, Mike didn't want to pass, didn't want to rebound or defend the best player. He wanted everything done for him. That's why I always believe LeBron James was the greatest player the game has ever seen. He does everything and embodies what the game is truly about. So, you heard what Scottie Pippen had to say there. Let me just tell y'all, these were by far one of the most absurd quotes I've ever heard about Michael Jordan. These are like some of the most moronic quotes I've ever heard. I'm sorry. Like maybe the reason I feel this way is because, I don't know, I've heard of a thing called Google, and I've Googled Michael Jordan and I've Googled LeBron, and I've looked at their careers in depth, and I've looked at what these guys were able to accomplish. So for Scottie Pippen to go out there and say all of that, to me, I thought that was pretty idiotic. But I just want to dissect his comments for a moment here, because what he just said to me was absolutely laughable. None of it made sense whatsoever. It's like as if he just wanted to say that, but he didn't have any particular reason to, like, he didn't have any concrete evidence to back that up. Let's just dissect his comments one at a time here. He said, let's just get to the part where he said this. He said, I may go as far to say Mike ruined basketball. In the 80s on the playground, you have everyone moving the ball around, passing to help the team. That stopped in the 90s. Kids wanted to be like Mike. Well, Mike don't pass. Didn't want to rebound or defend the best player. He wanted everything done for himself. Okay. So let's get to the first part. Mike didn't pass. Again, for the people that may be unaware. Michael Jordan had 2 coaches. Right? MJ had 2 coaches. He had Doug Collins, where he was winning all of those championships, and then he had Phil Jackson. Now, what did Phil Jackson do when he became the head coach of the Chicago Bulls? Let me just pull this up. When did Phil Jackson coach the Bulls? Let me just pull this up, because I think that we have to make sense of this here, because I feel like Scottie Pippen is just saying this. Okay, let's pull it up. Phil Jackson was the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. He started coaching that team in 1989. Now, let's go. Why is that? Why is that information important? Well, we got to go look at Michael Jordan's scoring. Michael Jordan in 1989, the seasons prior, he was averaging 28 points per game, 22.7. That's the year he only played 7 games, 37 points, 35, 32. And then 33.6, that was the year that Phil Jackson took over the team. From that year forward, it dropped to 31, 30, 32, 29, 30, 29.6, 28.7. Now, what did you notice there? You noticed early in MJ's career, he was putting up an incredible amount of points, but then his scoring went down. Why did MJ's scoring go down? The reason Michael Jordan's scoring went down is because of the triangle offense. The triangle offense was absolutely different from that of the offense that Doug Collins was running. And it was one of the reasons MJ was a bit trepidatious initially to adopt that type of playing style, where he had to be a little bit more, where he had to put more trust in his teammates. If you studied anything about the triangle offense, you will understand that. So that's the first thing. The first thing that's worth pointing out. He also said that Michael Jordan doesn't pass the ball. Okay, fine. In the 1988-89 season, Michael Jordan averaged 8 assists a game that year. The following season, he averaged 6.3. The following season, he averaged 5.5. The following season, he averaged 6 assists per game. That's in the regular season. Let's get to the playoffs. Okay, since Michael Jordan didn't pass the ball. Let's get to 1989. 1989, MJ was averaging 7.6 assists per game. 1990, he was averaging in the playoffs 6.8, then 8.4, 5.8, then was 6 assists per game. So MJ clearly could pass the ball. It wasn't a question of Michael Jordan don't pass. Michael Jordan didn't have anybody to pass it to, and one of those people he didn't have he didn't have to pass to was Scottie Pippen, because Scottie Pippen only became an All-Star, I believe, in his 6th year in the NBA. That's the first thing. The second thing is he said Michael Jordan doesn't guard anyone. He never guarded anybody. Okay, let's look at the numbers here. Scottie Pippen, who is known as a defender, an elite defender, by the way, and he is an elite defender. Scottie Pippen has made, think about this, 10 All-NBA defensive teams. That's amazing. Kobe made more, by the way. For the jokers in the audience, for the clowns in the room, Kobe made more. Scottie Pippen made 8 All-Firsts in 2 seconds. Kobe made 9 All-Firsts in 3 seconds. This for the clowns in the room. They want to talk about defense. But anyway, Scottie Pippen made 8 All-First defensive and 2 second defensive. Michael Jordan, the guy that doesn't play defense, Jordan made, let me look at his defensive teams here. I got it right here. Defense, yeah. Jordan made 9 All-First defensive teams. More than Scottie Pippen, and he won a Defensive Player of the Year. So who's guarding who? What is he talking about? This is why you got to go back and dissect this. Then he brought up that point to say that he had somebody else do that for him. And he's also saying that LeBron does that all the time. That's the point he's making, because he's comparing it to. Well, let's look at LeBron. This is why you have to do research. Let's look at LeBron for a second here. He said LeBron averages more assists because that's how his game is predicated. But it's also based on the fact that LeBron is very ball dominant. LeBron, the ball must be in his hand for him to be effective. If the ball is not in his hand, he cannot be effective. You know this. So his game dictates his assists. But anyway, let's get to another point here. He said LeBron defends. Okay, fine. LeBron has made 5 All-First defensive teams. 5. And he's made 1 second defensive team. LeBron has made 6 all defense. So what are you talking about? That he defends more. What are you talking about? Number one. Number two, this is the point where we got to really break down these comments here and really get to the heart of the meat and potatoes of all of this. You're talking about Jordan's playing style, right? How it ruined the game. How could it have ruined the game when his playing style led to 6 championships and 3 back-to-back and 2 three-peats and 6 finals MVPs? So if you have a better style out there, please inform me, because I don't know what it is. You're going to use LeBron to say that his style of play is the reason why it is better than Jordan? So why are the results so drastically different then? Why are Jordan's accolades so much more impressive, and why did he win more? You see, this is the stupid stuff that happens all the time on the internet. Number one. Number two, for people are talking about, he's talking about winning, right? Because that's why you play the game. Well, MJ's team went for an 8-year stretch where they didn't lose more than 2 games. What other definition is there of winning? Was Michael Jordan out on those teams? Wouldn't that make Michael Jordan probably the greatest winner of all time if you just look at that track record for a moment? So what are we talking about here? What are we talking? This is why I've said it, and I'm going to say it again. Anybody bringing up this argument, they always come up with these stupid arguments because they can't make a sound one. There's no logic in these statements. All he's trying to do is get some people to buy his book. That's all. He's not concerned with actually making sense, because those quotes make no sense. They make no sense. Because what you'd have to do for those quotes to make sense is, number one, have no knowledge of what happened in the past. And number two, don't look at the results. You can't criticize a guy. We say, well, he needed people to do it. But LeBron needs people to shoot and make all of these different things for him. If he doesn't have a certain group of personnel around him, he cannot be successful. So that's the thing. So obviously, various players need various things. What's the enlightening thing about this? Shaq, for as great as he was, he needed a perimeter scoring Kobe. Certain players that are bigs, they need shooters. So I don't understand the point about that's why you feel is the great. No, that's why you a hater. What is this? I can't understand people that try to make an argument against MJ and they bring lesser players. This is why it's a dumb argument to begin with, because you're always going to bring an inferior player to the argument. And that's why you always lose. You cannot bring an inferior player to a Michael Jordan argument and try to make an argument. You can't do that. So these are my thoughts and opinions. What I want to know from you guys, what do you think? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch y'all on the next show. Peace.